What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dynasty Trade Show. The first time in 2025 we can say that, and we are, Chex Watch, 5 months in. Holy shit, Adam, we have been slacking. It has just been incredibly busy over here with the draft. Definitely, we needed that wind down time postseason. Oh my god, what a grind last year was, but we are back and ready to go, ready to rip. How about you, buddy? You looking dapper over there in that Jaden Daniels black?
Dude, listen, I was, Mike and I have talked for a while now, a couple of years, quarterback cheat code, the Konami code, all that stuff. Seemed like we were aligned on the actual code, but you had more J-Day and I had more A-Rich, and that hurts to say at this point, because I've got 2 J-Day jerseys and 1 share in Dynasty, Mike, and it fucking breaks my heart, because you'd love to have more. And I know in all the drafts we were in, you pretty much left with them. So at least one of us got them. I can say that, right? And I'm rocking the black one. Yeah. Dude. This black jersey is... And when it came in the mail, too, I already ordered it off of, speaking of which, certifiedsh.it, our partner Fanatics. Go over to certifiedsh.it. Go to the Fanatics website. Basically, it's our affiliate code. And pretty soon here, we're going to be getting some unique shit promo codes for you over there. But I ordered it. Looked pretty sweet on the website, Mike. And I'm like, oh, wow. When it came in person, it actually looked way more fresh. I'm excited, buddy. I'm excited. Excited for you and your J-Day shares. I'm going to start the trade show off with a trade of our own, which, for the record, this is the first trade that Mike and I have actually got done this year. So the content game has been not as friendly to us in the streets of trading. Mike, at this point last year, I had over 30 trades in the books.
Just for tight asses this year.
Just for the record. 30 and 1. I don't know if you guys are doing the math at home. That's very different.
Welcome to South Harmon.
It's the month of May before we got a deal done, so that should tell you we're working hard in the streets. Just need to get back to the trade show, and here it is, Mike. So this is a trade where, speaking of Mike's quarterbacks, Mike's guys, I got another share of J.J. McCarthy, which I didn't have a lot of. I trade away Patrick Mahomes here. This is on the clock, so the 111, 112. Those picks belong to Pecchio. It's on the clock in the draft. All right. I'm looking at it from the standpoint of here's on the board R.J. Harvey and is Caleb Johnson, the 2 guys I would prefer there. And in this league, I'll get to the WoRP here in a second. It's kind of tailored to the running back. Matter of fact, here I think I can pull it up for you. Boom. Here's the WoRP right there. Right. Multi-year looks pretty darn good to what 2 positions? The running back, which is the green line, and then the red line, which is the quarterbacks. So I'm going to run the single year here for you. But for me, it was like, all right, Pecchio's coming. He's still in a rebuild, and I don't think he's really ready for these running backs at this point. And he was willing to look at trading the picks. We went to a bunch of different places. Ended up settling on my team as a contender right now. Doesn't have many pieces to speak to a rebuilder, right? So keep trying to get to the point of, all right, what about Mahomes? What if I bring the big guns to the table? And at first I was angling for a Mahomes tier down to May. He wasn't going to give me much for that. So going down to McCarthy here, I get the 111, the 112, which those become R.J. Harvey, and they become Caleb Johnson. I sent him my 26 first next year, as well as a 27 third, and Mahomes, the 203, felt early, but I took Bashaw Tootin, given the WoRP. Here's the WoRP from single year. But Mike, given all the dynamics I just kind of brought to you, what side of the deal do you want here, and what are your thoughts in general on the whole trade?
Well, just looking at it, just a quick look on the lab, checking that one out. Looks like you got a pretty solid team built, so I'm not too worried about your 26 first being sent away, especially when you're getting 2 in this class back.
Sure.
It is a best ball league, too. It's always kind of nice to do the 2 for 1.
Yep.
Generally, I don't like to trade away my first, but, I mean, you're talking about it, doing it here. I mean, the 203 is no slouch either. I don't know what you end up taking at 203.
I took Bashaw Tootin, given the scoring at WoRP. Given the running back, like there was definitely in a vacuum, I would rather have taken someone Trey Harris or whatever.
After last night's conversation on Wednesday night AMA about Jalen Milroe, you would have rather done that.
I probably should have done that, to be honest with you, as I look back at it. But I was, singularly focused on getting more running backs, and that probably was the pick I should have made.
Tootin's getting a lot of love in the space right now from the people in the know too. So you could have walked yourself into the starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars too. Not a bad not a bad gig.
Yeah.
You know my affinity for JJ McCarthy, even though when you tried to doubt me last year and you tried to chide me and poke me and prod
Absolutely.
me, I stuck
Someone
strong
had
to my
someone had to
guns.
try for the people. I mean, the people were getting so big mad in the comments. It was awesome.
I almost completely forgot about that too, but here we are. We're back.
All these months later.
Diana Rossini, tried with the Aaron Rodgers shit for months. Wasn't happening. JJ's dodging all these bullets, and I'm super excited for JJ McCarthy and the Kevin O'Connell offense. Here's the thing, right? If you look last year with Sam Darnold versus Patrick Mahomes, right? Situations are pretty much the same now for JJ McCarthy that Sam Darnold had. Patrick Mahomes has pretty much the same situation. Sam Darnold was keeping pace, if not outscoring.
Well, I'm going through right here. So here's Sam Darnold, 2.199 at quarterback 8 last year. And Patrick Mahomes is at quarterback 11. So, I mean, even if you just say they were a wash for the sake of the conversation, right?
I'm going to guess there's some point per carry in here, and this is why the running backs are so high.
It is. So it's a 0.2 points per carry, and it's a half PPR.
So it's not hot takey, all right? I'm not trying to be hot takey. J.J. McCarthy is a better runner at the quarterback position than Patrick Mahomes. So, Adam, you might have just walked yourself into the better fantasy quarterback. I'm not saying dynasty quarterback because Patrick Mahomes has this allure, though I also wonder how many back-end QB1 finishes we have to have in a row before that really starts to fade. Is it 3? I'm asking for a friend. Is it 3?
3, how many years? Yeah.
Well,
I mean, so you're not wrong. Now, it's interesting because I just want to give some context here. I, at one point, traded similarly. I'm going to run 2022 to give you the other side of it because I'm with you for the record. The last 2 years, Mahomes has not been the quarterback that we were, looking for, right? But when you go to single year,
that was promised.
Look at 2022, dude, though.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he's going to do this next year. I just want to give when I traded for him, which was in 2023 season, if you remember, if you go back of the way, his Godfather trade offer, I sent 4 pieces in a best ball league here. Would have loved to have it back at this point now, but Kittle, Purdy, and 2 first, mid first, Mike, 24 and 23. Because he was doing so damn well. It's like, if you could get Mahomes, just go get him. Now, mind you, this is pastime information. I'm not trying to bring it as this is the current day information. But my only real big worry about it, potentially, would be, because I'm with you for the record. Like, I think McCarthy has more to offer on his legs than does Mahomes does in a typical season, right? My big fear is as they continue to try to put weapons around Mahomes, and, things change. There's ebbs and flows. If the zone coverages kind of change and we're looking at the days when Mahomes has more deep shots, could I have just traded away what still is like one of those hard to acquire quarterbacks in rookie fever for the 111, 112, and 203? That was where, for me, it was like, I pressed the button still. I was willing to risk it. This was the first trade I made, and I wanted to go get more running backs on this team because of the way the WoRP looks. But, like, that's my I'm not going to say it's buyer's remorse, but that's just my other side of the conversation where it doesn't stay that way, to your point. Are we going to get 3 years of the Mahomes back-end quarterback one, or are we going to see his resurgence and be like, oh, wow, why did we ever doubt him? That's I think, the biggest question for me.
The counterpoint to that is because Patrick Mahomes isn't super dynamic with his legs.
Right.
He's mobile. All right. He's mobile.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at other quarterbacks, right, like other quarterbacks in that tier, the Josh Allens, the Jalen Hurts, the Lamar Jacksons, and you look at their record of starting for fantasy football purposes, full season starting, their percentage of elite seasons is a lot more than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is sub 50% on elite seasons. We just remember the 3 phenomenal ones that he had.
Sure.
We don't remember so much, and we're kind of like, we push him by the wayside. The 4 seasons that he's given us that have been Jared Goff.
And to your point, 2 of those, though, we're coming off of the back end of 2 of those. 2 years ago, it was 3 elite seasons and 2 quarterback 1 seasons, right? So that was now let me ask you, do you believe that there's, in the near future, this Mahomes resurgence where we're like, damn, with his arm, even though obviously, to your point, I don't think anyone's at this point is considering him a Konami code quarterback. He shouldn't be. I mean,
right.
Period.
Right.
So, but do you think we get back to that point at some point here in the next year or so, a couple years, 3 years, right?
There's a possibility, but for me, at the end of the day, the odds that J.J. McCarthy does it too are just as good.
Sure. Okay.
Good, right. So that by the wayside, you're close enough. Like, you're close enough. Obviously, people are going to prefer Patrick Mahomes before people get all over me, right? Like I will.
You mean you're talking
Mahomes
straight up to McCarthy?
Yes,
okay, yeah,
straight up. But you're in the ballpark, right? This isn't. You're not going down to Jared Goff. Okay, you're going to JJ McCarthy. So you already got my heart on this one. You send away your first. I usually don't like doing that, especially in May. But then I look what you got back. I don't really give a fuck about the 27th third. You got essentially 3 running backs in a running back heavy WoRP in a best ball league back as your down tier. I'm okay with that. I'm very, very fucking okay with that. Like, this is, and if I'm Pecchio and I'm not ready to go, I don't want those running backs, right? But those are the ones I should be taking that are on the board there.
Sure.
I'm like, please, like, somebody take these fucking running backs. I don't want the running backs. And the wide receivers, obviously, were gone. I don't want to start reaching on wide receivers.
And you know what? He also, for the record, he had 202.
Yeah, I'm fine.
He had 202, sent me 203, which, because I took the running backs, he then was still able to get the receiver he was probably going to take, which was Matthew Golden at the 202.
Yeah. This was a good deal for both of you. But it's definitely a clear, like, I'm still waiting, and you're more in that, let me get some assets and fuck around and find out. Let me fuck around and find out right now. And the Mahomes thing, like, the name value is just so much more, and that's probably going to be the sticker shock for a lot of people. But if you really dive into what J.J. McCarthy can do in a Kevin O'Connell offense with those fucking weapons and his legs, he could be pretty damn special for fantasy purposes. I'm not saying he's going to be Jaden Daniels right out the box, in his first full year starting.
No.
But I'm saying he can put up 18, 19 fantasy points in his rookie year, and it's not going to look like he's doing all that much to do it.
How about a not gross version of Daniel Jones, right? Like,
there you go.
Like, if Daniel Jones wasn't gross, but yeah, the guy that could run it all the way to the end zone, the guy that can give you 700 on the ground, like, maybe. I mean, that probably is higher range of outcomes, but I think people don't realize McCarthy is pretty athletic. I have my concerns, but the guy's in a great situation with the talent around him. He's in a great situation with the coaching staff, and he's coming off the injury. That's the biggest concern for me, is like, how does he, get into this moving? If he looks and moves fine and, that year off doesn't hurt him, he's in a great situation. So, again, there's, I think, risk on there. One thing I'll say about Pecchio, too, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. So he has, like, in this rebuild, right, he had Will Levis on his roster. Didn't end up moving him. Now, all of a sudden, Levis is at this point, fuck, man, you missed your window to move him, right? Do you in a scenario where you have, like, J.J. McCarthy, he had May, trying to think all the guys on his roster. You got the lab up, I think. But when you're in these, with a lot of these younger grouped quarterbacks, do you have any risk tolerance where you're looking to maybe just get into safer assets as you're trying to pivot from the contending or old contender, failed contender? Now you're in this rebuild. Do you like to just continue to hold all the young quarterbacks and just see their value potentially go to the ceiling or to the floor? Or do you like to try to maybe at some point try to pivot into a safer asset like a Mahomes, like this type of a trade?
We act like we're so shocked when they finally, like, fall off the cliff, right? But you had all of last year with Will Levis multiple times, benched and then brought back, right? It's, I sat here and I fought for, like, Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson, right? Because they were young and they were going to get benched, they ended up getting benched. But people acted like that was the end of it. I'm like, no, they're going to have another opportunity. Now, Anthony Richardson's got one this year to prove it. Bryce Young has one, had one last year to, like, really prove it. And he did in spades. I'm generally pretty patient with it, but, like, the Will Levis thing, like, if you continue to hold Will Levis and you still got Will Levis on your roster at this point right now after they drafted Cam Ward, that's your own goddamn fault. Like, well, that is your own fault. The minute you got benched the third time for Mason Rudolph should have been like, fuck.
Right. Well, I mean, and at a certain point, right, like, if you don't move like, I guess in general what I'm talking about is more a holistic approach, a thing to think about when you're in a rebuild and you're getting a lot of assets, especially when we talk about, like, quarterback hoarding, right? Taking a lot of the quarterbacks. The value insulation for a lot of these players is there for a certain period of time. But and again, this isn't a McCarthy specific thing. I'm not trying to go like, hey, McCarthy, you got to get off of a player like this. I'm just thinking in general, when you're trying to go out of a rebuild, I think a lot of times you can be asking for too much for Levis. And then before you know it, boom. Like, when you do know that it's too late, Mike, it's too late now. Like, what do you do? So I'm okay at certain points, even in a rebuild, pivoting into safer assets. And I think that's one of the things sometimes that can be lost is there's always upside for a lot of these young players. But if you're always trying to capture the most in the trade, and then all of a sudden when it hits you, oh man, this guy hasn't done enough. His value is nowhere near what I was asking, and now he's not a sexy asset. So that's just one point I wanted to make about the quarterback situation, where if you have a lot of great young quarterbacks, cool, but just be mindful of, I'm not saying Will Levis, I'm using that as an example on his roster. There's plenty of scenarios, to your point. Rich is down in value. Bryce Young's starting to resurge. You just have to know those roller coaster rides. Trying to get off closer to the high point, I think, is something that can be missed on a lot of the players.
We do that with everybody, though. It doesn't matter the position, whether it's quarterbacks
that's
or
fair
running
too,
backs, right?
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
Every single one of them. Wide receivers, sometimes we think they have the longest longevity, and then just a couple years ago, you and I are out here like singing Deontay Johnson's praises, and now look at him.
Sure. Well,
man went through 3 fucking teams last year.
But like even Deontay, right, in Carolina last year had value. Then now we're looking at what is his value dropped off from there. The one thing about the quarterback, though, is like it feels like at least the way we value him or look at him, like he's it or he's not. Now, Baker Mayfield is a good example of it can come back in value, right? So is Sam Darnold. It can come back in value. But it's like once their rookie contract they view it as not the starter, the plummet in value and the way that the community perceives him is honestly kind of crazy.
Yeah, and you also just have to be mindful of what the team invested in him, right? Like the Will Levis scenario is not not a good one, right? Because it's a second-round pick. You get a little bit more leeway when you're the first-round guy, right?
Yep.
Like they'll ride you out a little bit longer. Pause.
Big pause. I love that. But yeah, anyway, let us know what you think of this trade. This is a best ball format. If you're not playing in best ball, you may be like, what the hell is going on here? Regardless, let us know in the comments. Let's get into someone else's trade, though, Mike. So here we are now at this point with another 12-team Superflex, half PPR. Switch your mindset, though. This is a lineup start 10, all right? We're at a full point tight end premium and a 0.1 point per carry. Mike, we're looking at Jeanty in the 208. So that's Jeanty and then turns into Milrow on the side for Random Bob. He's sending away Sean Tucker, which RIP kind of at this point. 27 second, 103, which turns into Cam Ward. 26 first, late first. 204 is Luther Burden, and then he gets a 411 pick, which looks like it hasn't been made yet, or at least at the time of the trade, we didn't have that pick in there. I'm going to go ahead and run the WoRP over here, and Mike, go ahead and just talk to me on the surface of this one first.
Pricey. Fucking pricey. Man, this is all those times where I took Cam Ward 101 and didn't even entertain Ashton Jeanty. Like, this is why I wish I should have.
What you can admit to, you talked about it last night on AMA. Last year and last night, little different stories. Last night on AMA, and that's one other big part of it, right? It's just the perceived value loss and between Cam Ward and Jeanty, right? That's kind of crazy when you're looking at this trade. But anyway, what is your take on it? You get Jeanty and Milrow versus 26 late first, Ward 27 second, and Burden. Lineup start 10 again.
Ward and Jeanty is a wash for me. Right? Okay. Dynasty value-wise, like, people obviously prefer Jeanty. And I get it. And I talked about it on the AMA. The hit rates also agree with it.
Yep.
Although slightly. But there's a real good case, right? For most people, Jeanty's going to be 101.
Yeah.
Is it that big of a fucking chasm, though? Because the rest of it, as much as I like Jalen Milrow, and we also hyped him up last night, can you justify the rest of that? Like, can you?
I mean,
not the Sean Tucker part. All right, no one gives a fuck.
So
not a single person.
Yeah,
I don't know why that's in the deal.
Well, the best part though about that is, like, Sleeper does this. If there's a player, it automatically goes up top. So it's like the first thing we look at is Sean Tucker when he's realistically, like, not even a part of this deal, I would say, in theory. And I'm happy to get off of Sean Tucker for the record if it's a piece that I need to get whatever I desire on the other end.
The easiest way to cancel that deal out, right?
Sure, let's talk about that first.
Jeanty Ward, don't give a shit.
Okay. Right? Would you say a second in value? Could you at least give the 27 second just for the value side?
No, I'm not giving a fucking second. The Milrow Luther Burden thing after last night when we talked about the hit rates for Jalen Milrow, right? Another wash. So you're pretty much just out of late first at this point. And I I don't know necessarily if that means late. I mean, right now it's like the second best looking team in the league, but we've seen these guys fall apart. It's not so far and away like a runaway where like this dude's locked into the playoffs, because there's a lot of kind of parity in the league. Random Bob is, the dude in the league, and then everybody else is sucking hind tit.
So he had the 103 pick from Apparetic, right? And he found a way to get that into the 101 Jeanty, which one of the things, as you can see here, right? He traded the 103, so he was on the clock. And this could be hindsight, right? He may not have realized at 103 he could have gotten Ward, Mike. I think this trade goes through, and you're like, hey, can I go from the 103 to the 101? You go get Jeanty. All of a sudden, 103 comes up and Ward's there, and you may not have realized that. I'm not sure how that went down, but then you're like, oh, shit. If you were thinking you're trading up from Hampton to Jeanty here, even still we're talking a different conversation, but regardless, that's one of the things when you're trading a draft pick, and we've talked about this. Draft pick versus a specific player always is a different conversation. Here's my question. Let's go to the WoRP on this league. Does it change anything for you with running this WoRP? So WoRP, this is single years data, so this is last year. Lamar was over 3, Saquon 2.892. I'm looking at the intersecting lines kind of at, right about quarterback 10 and running back 10 were even. You get to about quarterback 18, right? CJ Stroud 1, whereas Swift is 1.46 last year. Does this change anything for you, or is it pretty generic as far as what you're looking at?
I still prefer the other side, but Random Bob's got a good case here with a strong team. Add Jeanty. You want to talk about who's going to produce right away in 2025, the odds are definitely in Genty's favor, right? And the WoRP would pay off if Genty's a top 5 running back in this year. Hard step for Cam Ward to make in year one, right? No, I don't think anybody's predicting that, right? So then he's most likely scenario for me for Cam Ward, like a good season out of him is QB 12-ish, and the WoRP doesn't make a difference in that part. Now here's the thing. Here's the only hesitation I have.
Okay.
Right? We're in May. Do you want to be spending your 26 draft capital already in May to try to lock up a title? Like trying to
flexibility,
lock up a title,
right?
Trying to lock up a title in May with all this bad shit that could still happen until we actually get to real football. That's the part that I don't like. If I'm on the other side, though, like this is a deal. If I'm not fucking competing, like, yeah, you want Jeanty so much? Like it was a gift when Cam Ward fell to 103.
Yeah.
It's a gift, taking Luther Burden. Obviously, I probably would have taken Milrow there instead of Burden, but is what it is now with the hindsight. But yeah, sure, I'll bet against this other guy, this number 2 contender in the league's team right now, generically in fucking May, because I'm not competing anyways. Like I love that. The way, other than the Sean Tucker thing, god damn it, why the fuck did you even... Maybe it's Sean Tucker himself. He wanted to get him on his own team, get himself on his own team. I don't get it.
I will say, Mike, especially getting Milrow back too. Like, now listen, I agree everything you said about, like, I don't like to lose my flexibility. I've had teams that look really stacked, and I'm like, damn, I'm 2, 3, and 5 now. What have I done here? When I look at this team, right, you got Gibbs, you got Jeanty, you got Neighbors, Jefferson, Nico, Brock Bowers, like. And here's the big thing for me. You still have a bunch of upside plays at QB in Fields and in A-Rich and in Milrow, right? Like, at Superflex, I could ride, because they have J-Mo in here just because of value. That's not how you're going to put your roster in, right? You're basically flipping between Fields, A-Rich, Milrow at the moment. Derek Carr, RIP, but whatever. Listen, I definitely get the case for not wanting to get off of my flexibility. This would be a type of team, though, I probably would consider doing it. I think, to your point, when I look at the WoRP, this is why, for me, with Cam Ward, it really comes down to WoRP. When I'm looking at it here, and I go to this other league, this other page here, right? To me, Cam Ward, even if he hits, let's say it's year 2, year 3, I think the Mahomes scenario is probably like the one of the best case scenarios. I think he has more ability to run, but I haven't seen it enough to where I want to confidently bet on him with a rushing style. So I'm looking at, like, really comes down to league format and league market. So can I trade? Is that type of a player going to get a boost in value where now I can sell Cam Ward at a really high rate? I would be willing to do that if either the WoRP spoke to that or I knew my market's like, hey, dude, if Cam Ward has a great rookie season or second year, you can flip him for, almost 3 first, like that type of a thing. But if on the WoRP, he's not a bet I want to make early on when I have a team like this. And if Jeanty can be a top 5 running back, we're looking at one of the few guys that is over 2 in WoRP. So I think this would be a trade where I get it to your point. It feels expensive, and I'm not saying it even isn't expensive, but I think it's warranted for me trying to thread the needle here. It's a risky trade, but I think it pays off. I have a hard time losing if it pays off, but I mean, a lot of times trades like this don't come easy. You're getting Jeanty, right? So, and you're paying for him right at the trade, the peak time of 101's price. So this is what it's going to look like,
You're paying for the guy at the peak time, right? Like, and that's probably the key. The production that Jeanty can give, in season, I think top 5 is a fair assessment.
Yeah.
But there's older, grosser, cheaper running backs.
Yeah, and it's not a guarantee he does get that. That's fair.
Right. Like, and I'm telling you, with Cam Ward, if he comes out and he has a couple good games, while the WoRP may not be there, Adam, the dynasty value is far going to surpass, right? Like, if I have Cam Ward, I don't really need him. He's had a couple good games early to start the season. I can go buy a fucking HN plus with my Cam Ward on some team that's not doing so well. That's like, yeah, fuck, take my running backs.
Sure.
My running backs. I want the fucking quarterback.
Jonathan Taylor. Maybe Breece Hall's looking better this year. Maybe there's Kyron. There's a number of running backs. Josh Jacobs, as much as we talked down about him last year. There's plenty of them where, to your point, you can land a first and that player in a trade where you're trading away a quarterback. Sure. 100% agree.
And not to mention, hell, if we had another year with old running backs just smashing left and right.
What if Derrick Henry and Chris McCaffrey stay healthy again, right? Like, oh, God, what are we looking at then? Yeah. I get you. So case in point there, I think I'm saying I'm not saying you smashed it, but I think that it makes sense to go for it. Are you saying kind of the same thing, or were you saying you want the Cam Ward side regardless of that?
I understand it, but I'm going to side on the other side. And if
value.
I'm building a contender, I'm not doing it in May with the highest priced assets right now. Right, because the production's not going to match what I paid for it, because I'm going to get better production in a couple months, much fucking cheaper.
I think, and you know what? Actually, before we go to this Gears of War here, which speaking of, shout out to Throwback, right? You know what these first 2 trades could look at for me, and this was one of my concerns as well with mine. I didn't get the chance to say, but I want to say with both of these first 2, Mike. To me, would you be surprised, as much as we talked about JJ McCarthy, if I look back on this and say, what kind of rookie fever did I buy into here? I got 3 rookies with day 2 or day 3 capital in this trade, right? To your point here with Jeanty, what kind of rookie fever did I buy into for the running back when maybe I could have just got replacement value that was very similar? So one thing I think for both of these trades to note, time-wise, it's been a while from the trade show. The drafts have already happened. They're happening. Could be looking at some Kool-Aid drinking a little later on, Mike. But let's get into deal 3 here. No picks in this current draft. Aident00 is getting Mixon, Njoku, McCaffrey, Kupp, Kittle, McLaurin. So it's a 6-player trade up top. Swobes is getting Brian Thomas Jr., Kyler Murray, 26 first and a 26 second. Mike, I'm kind of looking at this and I'm trying to read the names. That's why I'm messing them up. I'm counting assets, and the ones that I like here, we're getting really, really old pieces up top. It is a lineup start 11, so that is one thing to consider. But in lineup league already, it's like, man, I don't like – this is one of the things I remember when we did the trade show. I went back and watched this. First time we had Scott Conner on, we're talking difference in lineup and best ball. And when I'm getting a lot more like roster spots on my side, you got to be careful in lineup. What are your thoughts on this deal as a whole? There's a lot of moving parts.
Disgusting. I'm grossed out. Kind of irritates me.
100%. 100%.
This is like, what the fuck? How come
I can't even process. As I'm reading this and trying to figure it out, I'm trying to read the names. I'm messing up names. I'm messing up what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out how. And also, I don't know if you have the lab run. I'm going to run it over here too. What is this? What are Aiden's picks looking like too? Is another thing to consider.
Down to a 3rd and a 4th and 26. Still has his 27 picks.
Okay.
I do this 9 million times out of 9 million times if I'm Swobes.
Okay. Yeah.
Stupid deal. Like,
the other thing is,
I don't veto trades.
But this is how you feel. Sure.
But I'd fucking chirp. I would chirp in the league like, Jesus Christ. What did you do to this poor man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason it's crazy to me, Kyler Murray is one of the quarterbacks that like I think when we look at the bigger picture, his whole career, he's still a Konami guy, but I don't think he's the elite Konami guy. I think that's where we're coming to.
I'll break it down the simplest way I possibly can. Take
Okay.
Brian Thomas and pick any three assets up top.
I
Brian
want
Thomas is
BTJ.
better.
Yeah, right. I'm with you.
Take Kyler Murray and pick the next three assets that are left
Not
up top.
close.
I want Kyler Murray.
And then there's
You
a
got a
26
free-
first and a second that we have to get
There's a
into.
free first
Sure.
and a second.
Sure. But I mean, the reason I'm saying that, Mike, the other crazy part about this, it still says to me, 12-team Superflex, Kyler Murray versus no quarterbacks on the other end.
Right.
That already makes me irritated, okay?
Yeah.
Brian Thomas is, so Kyler buy low, but Brian Thomas should be a buy high, right? Like, you don't have to buy high on Brian Thomas, and you still get the picks. Mike, tell me right now, give me one more thing to kind of piggyback on what you said. Simplest way, give me the two worst assets you feel in that deal up top.
The two worst assets.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp and
Njoku?
I'm going to either go with Njoku or Mixon.
Okay, yeah, and pick it, right? Because let's say Njoku, Mike, Kupp and Njoku, would you rather have them or a first and a second?
First and a second.
Or Mixon and Kupp. It doesn't matter. Like,
First would be enough.
like literally, I feel like the reason I wanted to say that is because it's laughable. And also, any way you try to break this down, it's going to look bad. Like, it's going to look bad. And I think when I look at Aiden's team, too, can I say this is one of those things where dynasty value doesn't always just equal the better side. Like, if you put Mixon and Njoku in a trade calc, right, and you're just looking at overall total value on my team, great. Mike, I've actually heard some sources out there, dynasty, content creators, that they have a big following. And you know what they talk about? Like, overall, you want to be making sure you're getting more dynasty value in the end game. Well, I'm not sure if this actually is a runaway, but this is how you end up with trades like this. That if you're just looking at what dynasty value says on your team, this is how you end up with trades like this. And you also might be not looking at the format. Like, this is, even with start 11, so we're getting a little bit more starters. Mike, I'm looking at his team right now, okay? Right now, his current team on the lab says, and let's put it up in front of y'all so that it's not just me. Okay, we don't even need to talk about WoRP for this. I'm sorry. We're not going to run WoRP, but this is irrelevant for WoRP purposes. Trevor Lawrence, Devon Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Nico Collins, Travis Hunter, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin, Derrick Henry, Bryce Young. Right now, off the rip, you're telling me maybe you're starting three of these players. Like, why? Why am I getting off of Brian Thomas Jr. and Kyler Murray and future next year if I'm only leaving with two potential starters in the flex spots? Why? This is dumb. I think you could have had a much, much better team with moving those for different assets, right?
I'm trying to figure out if there's like some trade calculator like bullshit that went on here, or I'm trying to figure it out, man.
And the poor bastard has, just like me, has Noah Fant on his team. What? That's bad, dude. This is bad for me.
It's something, man. It's something.
Let me ask you
one more piece to go, and Keep Trade Cut says it's a decently fair deal. Like, it's in the ballpark. I don't know what the fuck happened here.
Well, let me ask you, Mike. Let's pretend for a second we switch the format. If we switch the format and this is best ball, start 12.
No.
Is it even? I'm not even going to say you can't say no. Is it more reasonable there?
In October, and all these old guys are playing at a decent rate.
Sure, right. I get you. I'm not here to fight for the other side. I'm not here to push the agenda like, in best ball you should do this right now. I'm just saying, even then, I think there's a lot of questionable things you're doing, but I could understand it more. Okay, I could understand it more.
I don't know how the first and second made, and whatever.
I'm honestly trying to think. Like, I'm honestly trying to think right now in a lineup start 11. There's no scenario here where I think McCaffrey and whatever other two pieces you want to say, let's call it Kittle. I don't know which ones they would be, are even worth Brian Thomas Jr. Like you said. To me, that is a starting point. I'm already staying my side. In lineup start 11, it's not enough starters, and it's a lineup league. I want the better assets. I want the supreme assets. I would say right now, if I'm ranking these assets overall, Brian Thomas, then Kyler Murray, and then you could have a conversation if you think based on contender or not, if you would prefer what is deemed as a late 26 first or anything up top. This is something we shouldn't be promoting. This is something we shouldn't be encouraging, okay? Because this is crazy to me. Gears of War, somebody just got a headshot, buddy. Yikes.
Gross.
Let's go UFC 7, huh?
Got a lot of Patrick Mahomes getting dealt around here.
Do we have a Patrick Mahomes thumbnail? What the hell's going on here? Okay. Patrick Mahomes. Now, interestingly, our boy Who's is getting Patrick Mahomes here. I was sending away Lamar and Mahomes, Zay Flowers and Worthy, RJ Harvey in the 26th first and second is the way the deal kind of breaks down. Pretty clear and obvious, simple across the board. Best ball start 11, Mike. This one I will run the WoRP on just to see what we're dealing with, but we already know what the quarterback situation is. How do you view it?
Lamar over Mahomes, not close. Different tiers.
Sure.
Zay Flowers over Worthy.
Yep.
RJ Harvey over the random first at this point.
Yeah, in best ball, I would agree with that. In lineup, I might struggle a little more with that. In best ball, I actually do agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the random second's enough to make up for losing everywhere else.
Man. Well, here's my biggest thing, right? Let's say the deal's close on paper. I'm going to run the WoRP for Who's in this league, right? Let's say the deal's close on paper. To me, the difference in Lamar and Mahomes in a best ball start 11, based on what I feel about the way that they play stylistically, I want Lamar, even if they're close in value, right? Like, to me, in a startup, let's say, Lamar is definitely one of the first 3 picks for me. Mahomes, I'm getting to the point, to be honest with you, Mike, and I'm not necessarily sure I'm pressing the button on Mahomes in the first round anymore, right? So sometimes there can be more of a gap there than meets the eye for a lot of people in Dynasty, but at least for me, the way I play, I would take Lamar, I would take Jaden, I would take Josh Allen. Those are 1, 2, 3, clear across the board. We get to the next tier, depending on what the WoRP looks like, depending on what the league looks like, I'm considering when I'm taking those guys, right?
The only thing I will say in, our boy Blitz's favor here is the dude only has 2 quarterbacks on his entire roster. So, getting Lamar was, 1 quarterback because his other quarterback's Jared Goff. So, kind of tells you that, he's now he doesn't have a 26 first, doesn't have a 27 second, right? So, he's going to have to sell off skill pieces and something else to get a quarterback eventually. Best ball leagues, you and I both know, you need 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5 quarterbacks.
You're better off in best ball. Now, this doesn't say that.
WoRP
Yeah.
on quarterbacks too. You want as many good ones as possible.
Dude, this is
Blitz
interesting.
could be betting against one bad, stretch of, knock on wood here. Lamar being hurt and out, and this team is fucking cooked with no way out. So that could be the play. That could be the play for him. Just on the surface, though, I prefer the other side of the deal. Yet in the context, if that's what he was doing and he was looking at it going how's this guy going to fill his quarterback needs if he needs them? He's playing with fucking fire. He's playing with fire. This could be the 104 next year. Yeah,
true. And I get it for certain on the value of that pick. And the other thing, too, is if you're a contender, right, that's one of those 4D chess moves where now, hey, we're looking to go into the playoffs here. This is a non-playoff pick. What can I buy on this WoRP line for that? One of the things I think is interesting about this conversation, Mike, to me, the Mahomes side in the deal that I was involved in where I traded him away, I like the WoRP line there was really great all the way through the top 20. Mike, this is a crazy scenario where if he's not a back-end quarterback 1, which I'm wondering if he was, he was, right? But we're getting close to where he gets, if he's quarterback 13, quarterback 11, quarterback 10, we're talking totally different than what Lamar could be, which I would imagine he was last year, of league breaker. Mike, you know what's crazy? I just had Mahomes up. Double that up, you get to Lamar. I need 2 Mahomes last year in WoRP to get to Lamar. Now, in best ball, it would actually be probably realistically better than 1.756. But the point is, even in best ball, man, look at that shit. He's destroying everybody. Tough. It's a tough sell for me on the blitz side. I get why he does it. And you do get the happenstance also to. This is what's crazy. Like, I would love to say, hey, I'm getting the pairing of Worthy and Mahomes in that stack. You also sent away the stack of Lamar and Zay, so it's like kind of crazy on that scenario. I think
had the nuts, like the nuts straight, because he already had Jalen Hurts on his roster. So Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson as your two quarterbacks.
Mike, I have
WoRP is like pry him out of my cold dead fucking hands.
I'm not trading him away. That's a great point because Mike, I have in speaking of, let's give it a little love to Rusty Tromboners, where I do have Jaden Daniels. I got Jaden, I got Lamar, and then I have A. Rich as my like wild card. Buddy, you guys can all fucking piss off until I die. Like, they're not leaving they're not leaving my team. So
not fucking leaving.
I get it though. I think those first let's say that is like a mid-season projecting the 104 to 106. You can probably move that now for a serious haul. So that's one point definitely to the side of the Who's.
RJ Harvey could go up in value in season 2.
Big
right?
time.
I mean, he could go down. He could be a bust too. There is that risk. The pick isn't going to bust.
You have the two wild cards. Harvey's value could go up or down significantly. He could get hurt. Knock on wood, we don't want it, but he could get hurt. The picks at least are value insulated, but man, it's tough. I think the value definitely leans towards the Who side. I think the upside to be captured potentially does lean on the Giggity side. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Right. I like the kind of savagery though of betting against this guy. Now that I looked at it a little further, I'm like,
that's
you kind of being an asshole.
You got to have an angle. You got to have an angle when you're doing shit like that. So I do respect the angle. Speaking of angles, speaking of overseas, speaking of long-timer, Schlumpf, Mike, this trade is diabolical.
Good Lord.
Jamar Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs, and a second. Forget the second for a second. Jeanty, Harvey, 105, which is Cam Ward, 205, Tracy, Zay Flowers. Now, lineup, start 10. Speaking of crazy shit, demon timing. I'm not sure if it's the timing or the deal here that's the real demon, but where you at, buddy? Let's run through this one.
Okay, so
how much time you got, by the way?
Yeah. Jeanty and Gibbs, close enough. Prefer Gibbs.
I think there's a case to be made in dynasty value that they're the same tier, but if you're going to lean one way or the other, most people I think are going to lean Gibbs.
Okay.
Let's cancel him, though, for the sake of the fucking argument.
Close-ish.
Right.
Close-ish. I mean, you're talking, what, RB2 and RB3.
How about this? Gibbs in a future second for Jeanty in the 205. Does that cancel?
Gibbs in a future second for Jeanty in the 205.
Does that cancel?
Yeah, there you go. That's more cancelable.
There you go. Okay, I like that.
Now
so now we're down. Now we're narrowing it down. So now we got Harvey and Cam Ward, Zay Flowers and Tracy for Jamar Chase in a lineup start 10.
Holy shit! Dude,
it's a 4 for 1 there, right?
I'm taking the other side.
The package side.
Unless this wide receiver WoRP is really good, because Chase is a god.
100%. I was just gonna say, dude, it's funny you went there because I think this is 100% where WoRP to me. Now everyone has their opinion and their reasonings. To me, this is where WoRP would be needed because, like, you're talking. This is a crazy trade, my friend. I'm pulling it up here, but
that's paying for it.
And I think sometimes, man, you do got to pay for it. You pay for it one way or the other, they say. If you know, you know. But let me try to find this league here. Demon timing. That's what it's called. Demon timing. Oh, here we go. Got it. All right, let's run it. Yeah. Let's see what WoRP has to say, buddy. This is one of those two. Also in a lineup start 10. It's a true 4 for 1. All right, let's take a peek here. Sheesh. We're jumbled at the top. Last year's top scoring asset, though, was Jamar Chase, for the record, in this league. This single year data. Let's also run multi-year just to see.
Yeah. Man. That's
a big boy deal, dude. Welcome back to the trade show, huh?
Mm-hmm. Man, Shabazz making out too. These are both two teams near the top as well, like duking it out.
Okay, there's your WoRP line. I would say at the top it definitely gets convoluted. It kind of looks like though receiver is the slight lean of the high-end assets, but it's jumbled there in the top 5, right? You can see
Right.
very clearly. You're looking at quarterback, wide receiver, and RB kind of overlapping.
And so we're clear about this, right? Even if wide receiver and quarterback like a line like this, if you're in a startup right now, you're still taking Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels before you even sniffing Jamar Chase.
No question. But does Cam Ward have? Does Cam Ward have that without the upside of his legs? I would guess would be my question.
He's got elite ceiling of top 6, right?
I think he's got Mahomes in his range of outcomes for sure, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about the deal then, as a whole now?
I mean, it's a lot to pay for Chase and Gibbs, but it's a lot more certainty on his side. The thing is, this is one of those things you got to kind of capitalize on it now because it's rookie fever season, right?
Big time. This is another. I was just gonna say this is a rookie fever trade. I think, dude. When you look back, Tracy and Zay Flowers. Just think for a second, real quick. Remove the 101 and the 205 and the second and Gibbs, like we talked about. Pretend that you're looking at those off the deal. Mike, before we put names to it, because we can't change that. 105, 109, Zay Flowers and Tracy laughed out of the fucking building for Jamar Chase before we get to the rookie draft. 100%, correct?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a rookie fever at least talking point now. 105 Cam Ward is normally not something I've been seeing. I have heard that he is going later than I've ever could imagine it. 109 for Harvey seems about right. Man, I'm gonna give you the tiebreaker here for me. This is where what I'd like to know is, and I'm gonna pull up on the lab and see what his team kind of looks like. Like if I have the assets. If this is a team I've built the assets to play around with, I'm okay sending the 4-for-1 here for Jamar Chase. I kind of hope and imagine, I know Schlumpf, the way he plays, that would be the case. I can make the case for it there. But if you don't, like if you're looking at, if something happens to Chase, the whole rest of your team isn't going to be imploding, it's tough to send all that value, dude.
You're not going to be very impressed.
His team's not good enough for it?
It is one of those paper tigers in lineup start 10. The depth is piss poor.
Let's bring it up. Let's bring it up and let's talk through this, man. All right, so Caleb Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Brian Thomas, Marv, Ladd. Where is his Jamar Chase share? Did he move it or is it not here?
I don't know. Maybe he needed another move because I see Cam Ward now in a super flex spot.
Oh, is it possible that it hasn't gone through or something? Like it's pending or whatever?
But why has he got Gibbs on his team? I guess is the next question.
Did he make another move? Did he flip Jamar Chase? But how do you back to Cam? That would be insane to me.
You know what we can do though? We can also use the lab to look at trades.
I was gonna say, Mike, you can go back door on this for us, right? But in theory, we're looking at Caleb, Jamar. I'm thinking Jamar Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Brian Thomas Jr., Marv, Ladd, Laporta, Caleb Johnson, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Penix would be his quarterback 2 if you didn't have Cam Ward now. Yeah, to your point, the bench is definitely suspect. What does his futures look like? He does still have, Mike, check this out. He has his 26 liquidity, or his flexibility, but look at all those seconds to play with.
Got a lot of seconds.
Interesting. And, he's got the entire 26 draft, it feels like. And a lot of thirds and fourths out there. Man, this is a tough trade assessment. Also, I don't know where the fuck Jamar Chase is in his team and what happened. So
I don't know either. I don't know if it's just tripping out or whatnot. But
yeah,
listen, if I just say Cam Ward's off the team, and Chase is definitely on the team, right? Mm-hmm. Still look at it. Not a lot of quarterback depth in a lineup start 10. You see the elite quarterbacks; they're going to matter. Caleb Williams is a starter. Michael Penix would be in a super flex. And then, the bench depth is just not very good. Sure. You're talking Blake Corums and the Marshawn Lloyds are next man's up. Yeah. He's got Brandon Ayuk right now slotted in as, a flex option, and that's a wide receiver coming off a, pretty bad ACL injury. So
I think
it's a paper tiger. You look at it and you go, wow, he's near the top, and it's just hitter after hitter after hitter. And then you look at the rest and you're like, man, you're 1 or two bad things away from this being a dog shit team. So,
But you know what I will say, though? Let me give you why I think now the receivers, right? If something happens to BTJ, Marv, Ladd, if you had Chase here, I think you have enough at the top where you'd have to have kind of a wave of bad things. If something happens to Gibbs or Irving or even Caleb Johnson, you got enough seconds here, I think, to kind of buy into running backs if you need to. That's my biggest thing. And now what do you got? Go ahead.
It was a two-parter.
Ooh, okay.
So you sent away Chase, the 204, the 208, the 209, the 212, the 210, and a 26 fourth. And in return, you got Marv, Ladd, Brandon Ayuk, Cam Ward back. And
W.
The third. So the team is as you see it now.
Well, can I tell you, now knowing that, market is something that you normally don't get a chance to understand during the trade show. Mike, if you're telling me all those seconds matter that much, and I was just getting ready to talk about it here. Look at all these seconds he has right here in 26, dude.
Yeah.
I love it a lot more now, and I also like the package he got back more than Jamar Chase straight up, personally, right? Cam Ward back on his team with, you said it was Ladd, right?
Ladd, Marv.
Dude, that's...
Ladd, Marv, Brandon Ayuk. Cam
I'm not
Ward.
even the biggest Brandon Ayuk guy at this point, but that feels kind of criminal.
Yeah. He sent away Chase in a shit ton of seconds, kind of all over the map in 25.
To get real legitimate assets across his board. I like it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those times where, okay, bring it back to the trade. This is one of those where in a lineup start 10 a lot of times, that one piece can also be moved back away for significant hauls. Dude, playing the middleman. Jamar Chase middleman. I love to see shit like that. All right, Schmumpf.
It's better than being the pivot man. You know what I mean?
That's true. All right, how about an unofficial flock league, big dog league? I'm going to pull this up here, but we're looking at Trevor Lawrence in the 112 or Jeanty here. Jackson Dart and T-Law, Mike, or Jeanty. You talking about the Cam Ward thing, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Man, as much as I love like quarterbacks, man, it's even hard for me to be like.
Thank you.
Dart and T-Law versus Jeanty.
I'm glad that we didn't have to have a,
Like
we're seeing more eye to eye.
I'm excited. Dart at 112 is stupid.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on Dart in particular.
And I'm excited for Trevor Lawrence. Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter now. Like that's it. Shit or get off the pot time. Like,
sure.
But there's also a possibility he fails.
and also, what's T-Law's top end production been in WoRP? Back end quarterback one.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the ceilings looked like in the past. I like Travis Hunter and BTJ. Maybe it's go past.
Like everything. If Dart hit everything, that's kind of where he's going to be.
Yeah, dude.
I think this is Jeanty pretty.
I think I struggle with anything other than the one side here of Jeanty. I'm with you, dude. And I'm looking at this. This is here goes some multi-year. Okay. You know what looks at the top, Mike? Running back. And I'm going to guess that single year also puts, dude, look at the top 6. Bro, the top 9 running backs last year gave you over 2 WoRP. I'm going Jeanty here. Jeanty. Dude, look at the quarterbacks. Look how far down it falls.
Yeah. Yeah, this is
quarterback 12 is 1.3. This is
just a confirmation to what we already thought.
Exactly. But you know what, Mike?
This is coming from the quarterback truther, love them,
if there was
them all.
If there was a side, if there was going to be someone to argue the other side, I think in the content game I would have bet on Mike, and he's like, no, thank you. I will.
Can't coach with him. Can't win with them. Can't do it.
Peter, shout out Peter. I know Peter. I know Shocking T. I want Shocking T, buddy. Give me the if you know the shocker. And I feel like that's what you just pulled off, the shocker, man.
14 team. Let's fucking go.
Okay, quarterbacks, nudge it up a little bit, but how much do you nudge up Winston and Geno? But anyway, let's talk about it. Geno, Downs, and Winston for Ridley, A-Rich, and a 4th in a lineup start 10 with tier PPR, the Crusher League. Mike, where are you at, buddy?
Did this get done before the draft? Is that what happened? Like, was there still hope for Jameis? Is that what was going on?
Before the whole Dart thing? Or is someone listen, is someone like, no, I don't believe in Dart. Now I believe in Winston. He's not even with Russ there too?
I don't know. This is A-Rich and Ridley all day.
Yeah. Well, Mike, here's my problem in 14 team. I get it. You get two quarterbacks, and one of which I don't think is starting, one of which should start. To me, in a 14 team, I still have A-Rich, and the upside he could capture still smashes away anything on the other side.
No, this was actually just done yesterday. So
yeah, somebody doesn't believe in Dart. There you go. I had a feeling, man. I got a feeling. No, this is easy A-Rich for me. Even if it goes poorly for A-Rich, I've really lost Geno in a dart throw in Winston if something happens in injury, in my opinion. Really, right? I'll still take Ridley over Downs in a production bet for this season. And that kind of washes out for me what the WoRP consideration is, really. Like, it doesn't really matter, right? It's not a conversation there.
A-Rich over Geno, not really close for me.
And also over Geno and Winston for me.
A-Rich over all this shit. It's a free Calvin Ridley.
But like the bet is basically, right? And that's why I say WoRP's out of the equation. The quarterback line is the quarterback line. The wide receiver, same thing. It doesn't matter because I'm getting a wide receiver, and a QB for two of them. Like, this is easy. And the free fourth is who cares? But yeah, that's where I personally land on it.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that close, frankly. This is the way we'll end the trade show, buddy. I guess
I get people hate A-Rich, but Jesus Christ, man, we just got done hating on Danny Dimes, and now that's the dude who's going to take A-Rich's job. Are you fucking kidding me?
We did a 3-hour.
People honestly serious with this?
Eric and I did a 3-hour podcast where I echoed the exact same sentiment. I'm like, listen, the A-Rich hate has gone from last year, first round startup pick, right? Like last year, we're in a first round startup pick. Has a bad season. No questions about it. The tap out, bench for Flacco at a point. But now we're worried about the guy that was, before they let him free, playing safety and on the scalp team on the other side, Danny Dimes. Like, make it make sense. How can we hate both, but still kind of like Dimes over? I don't understand. People are basically genuinely concerned that Dimes going to take the job from A-Rich. You shouldn't be worried about Dimes. It should be just that A-Rich is going to fail. They shouldn't have any conversation about Danny Dimes, dude. Yeah,
I don't. Whatever. You people do what you want to do. It's funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, dude. A-Rich has been horrible. One other thing about it, I will say, while I have plenty of shares of A-Rich, and it's come back to bite me. What I don't understand in general, this is where I kind of blame Steichen a little more in the organization. If you're going to take what's like just realistically a project quarterback at 103, don't do that if you're not willing to sign up for the project. What you've been seeing right now is the project. Like, don't do that shit. That's just really dumb, in my opinion. If you don't want the project, stay away from it. But don't get mad when you find out during the process of having the player that there's going to be some shit you got to work through. And a lot of it. Everybody knew he had very limited snaps relative to most quarterbacks coming in, and that he had, percentage issues and problems with his throwing. Like, now all of a sudden, 2 years in, to your point, we're worried about Danny Dimes because the way they've used him has been, and he's also had his own, I'm not dismissing him for the record. He's had his own problems staying on the field and playing well, but it's a project. This is kind of the roller coaster ride. And now they're like, hey, we want to press the eject button. Well, that was smart to use your 103,
It was. Good job, boys. Real classy. Adam, we did it. We made it through a trade show. First one of this year.
Love it,
right?
Man.
If you guys want your deals featured, patreon.com/South Harmon. $5 tier, boop, trade channel. Drop them in there. We're back. We are back with the trade show. Now it's worthwhile. Worthwhile. We're going to pump these trade shows out weekly.
What did you think, speaking of the trade show? What did you think of the deals?
Felt good to be back. Felt good to rust it off and then get the rust off. We started out really like I wasn't mad or visibly upset. Blitz snuck some in there that pissed me off. So here we are.
Got you there slowly but surely.
Got me fired up to end the night. I like how he sequenced them too. Like that is
sure.
It's clutch right there. Right. You don't want to ruin me right off the rip.
Yeah, you don't want to get Mike upset by trade 2 so that everyone has to feel the wrath for the last 5. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought there was a good amount of deals here. I think few takeaways for me. I think most of these trades, and this is one of the things I think in general about trades that really starting to piss me off at the moment. I just want to get this out there. People want to grade trades right now in a vacuum and make the deciding factor like who won. Like, I'm looking at 3 specifically of the 7 there. Now, you can think whatever you want, and you can make the case, I think, for both sides. But the reality is, rookie fever we'll find out in about a year from now, 6 months from now, realistically who won. You can't tell me that you know who won. There's a bunch of rookies in here, dude. Like, that to me is one of the annoying parts is like when we look at these deals, there's a lot to be decided in the future to really make a case for who won or lost a deal. The reality is Rookie Fever has tons of these type of trades. I don't think that while I'll make a case right now for what side, we should be understanding that there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to up and down for the trades. If Jeanty smashes all the trades I think that Jeanty's in, people are going to hate the other side, almost regardless. If Jeanty is like a top 3 running back, but we don't know that yet. There's so many different scenarios across all the rookies. The same thing, Cam Ward. It's just like, I don't get the whole narrative of in a game, which is subjective, meaning everybody has opinions and thoughts about players, how we can make, in general, blanket objective statements about who won and lost trades. It drives me crazy.
I get you, man. And one other thing just occurred to me. The last time we did a Dynasty Trade Show, way back when, feels like forever ago, there were 60 pounds of more man sitting in this chair.
I was going to say, a lot of weight been lifted off the shoulders, you know?
People are going to wonder what happened to me. If they only watch the channel for the Dynasty Trade Show, they're like, oh, they're finally back.
They're like, oh, this is finally back. You haven't been tapped in for a while.
What happened to this guy?
Wait, where's the big guy with the beard, you know?
Still big, just not as big.
The beard's big. You're not big.
I think it's because my face is getting smaller, but
it's thinner. Yeah,
it's
looking a little more wizardry, like straight down. You know, I love it.
More Gandalf.
More Gandalf. Great call.
You shall not pass.
Yeah, man. I love that. That's all we got, though. There's a good hour for the first trade show. Trade show moving forward should be an every week Saturday morning thing. Saturday mornings are for the Dynasty Trade Show. They're for Dynasty Trades. We'll see you back here. Same time, same place next week again for the 40 Chess Dynasty Trade Show. We're out of here. Peace.